Hello, my dear children. This is Roshni, and I hope you all are fit and fine. You are studying well and you are enjoying online classes. Tell me whether you are enjoying your this new method of teaching learning process or not in the comment section. So, today I want to tell you that I have come with a very beautiful story, and the topic of the story is Taro's Reward. Okay, Taro's Reward. Taro is the name of the protagonist, and what is his reward and who gave him reward we will read in the story. Okay, but before that, let me tell you this story has a great message to convey. All right, because modern children are, they are becoming aloof from their parents and grandparents. Therefore, in order to bring children and parent together, this story plays a very important role. All right, so it not only talks about rewarding hard worker, but it also tells us that whatever we do for our parents, that never goes in vain. All right, so let's begin with the story. Let me read out front person at first so that you can get a gist of this story. This is a story about a thoughtful and loving son. Thoughtful means the person who thinks about others, and here especially parents, okay, because it is saying that he was a lovely son. So this means that the son, that is Taro, was thoughtful about his parents. Okay, he thought about his parents. He works hard to fulfill his parents' wishes and gets some unexpected help. So here he tries to fulfill the wish of his parent, and then nature rewards him. How he was rewarded, let's find out in the story. A young woodcutter named Taro lived with his mother and father on a lonely hillside. So, as I told you, Taro was the name of the protagonist. Protagonist means the main character or hero of the story. Okay, it is protagonist, and if the main character plays negative role, at that time we call them as antagonist. Okay, remember that antagonist and protagonist, these are two different words and two different identities as well. Protagonist means positive hero and antagonist means negative hero. Okay, so Taro was a protagonist and he used to think about his parents. He lived in a lonely hillside. Okay, all day long he chopped wood in the forest. Though he worked very hard, he earned very little money. So whole day Taro used to chop the tree. Okay, he used to cut the wood of the tree. Here in the picture you can see mother of Taro, father of Taro, and Taro himself. Okay, in the house we don't see any valuable thing, it's all blank. It shows that they were very poor. Okay, this made him sad, for he was a thoughtful son and wanted to give his old parents everything they needed. So, here, being a very good son of his parents, he wanted to give everything that his parents required, but because of his poverty, he was not able to do that. Every day he used to work and he used to get very little money. With that, somehow he used to manage his survival, but apart from that, he could do nothing. One evening, when Taro and his parents were sitting in a corner of their hut, a strong wind began to blow. It whistled through the cracks of the hut and everyone felt very cold. Suddenly, Taro's father said, "I wish I had a cup of sake." It would warm me and do my old heart good. So one day there was natural calamity, okay, a sort of natural calamity, and wind blew very strongly. Okay, because of that, the father felt very cold and he wanted to have a soup like liquid, that is sake. Okay, it is pronounced as sake. Please remember it. This made Taro sadder than ever, for the heartwarming drink called sake was very expensive. How do I earn more money? He asked himself. How do I get a little sake for my poor old father? He decided to work harder than before. Now, here, being a very thoughtful child, he wanted to give everything to his parents, okay? But as he was poverty stricken, he was not able to do so. And apart from that, father, when he said that he wanted to have sake, Taro became even more sad. It is because he wanted to give everything to parent, but he was not in that condition economically. Okay, so what he decided, he wanted to work more harder to earn more money. All right, what happens later on, whether he is able to give his father sake or not, let's see in the story. Next morning, Taro jumped out of bed earlier than usual and made his way to the forest. He chopped and cut as the sun climbed, and soon he was so warm that he had to take off his jacket. His mouth was dry and his face was wet with sweat. My poor old father, he thought, if only he was as warm as I. And with that, he began to chop even faster, thinking of the extra money he must earn to buy the sake to warm the old man's bones. So, here, what do we find? The love of a son towards his father, especially. Okay, he wanted to give sake to his father, therefore, throughout noontime, he chopped the tree. Okay, and he woke up very early in the morning so that he can collect more money. This is what we need to inculcate in our life as well. Whatever parents do, we should ignore that. Okay, all the bad things that they do, please ignore that. Their scolding should be kept aside, but we need to remember that whatever we do for our parents, it is going to pay us in later life. Okay, so thinking that, we will move ahead. So here we get to see that Taro was enthusiastic to earn more money so that he can buy sake. Okay, another thought also came into his mind, and that was, if only he was as warm as I. It means that Taro can work because he is a very young boy, okay, or young man. He can work, but not the old father. Okay, he is dependent upon his son. He is dependent upon his son, and that is Taro, right? So he thought that if he was as warm as I right now, it would not have been, then he would not have felt cold. Okay, and with that, he began to chop even faster, thinking of the extra money he must earn to buy the sake to warm the old man's bones. So, thinking that, he started working wholeheartedly to earn extra money. Then suddenly Taro stopped chopping. What was that sound he heard? Could it be? Could it be possibly be rushing water? Taro could not remember even seeing or hearing a rushing stream in that part of the forest. He was thirsty. The axe dropped out of his hands and he ran in the direction of the sound. See, in continuous work, he was not realizing that how much work he has done. Okay, suddenly he became so tired, he wanted water, and he heard, you know, gushing of the water or rushing of the water, rushing of the water. Okay, then he started moving toward that direction. He started moving towards that direction. Taro saw a beautiful little waterfall hidden behind a rock. Kneeling at a place where the water flowed quietly, he cupped a little in his hands and put it to his lips. Was it water or was it sake? He tasted it again and again, and always it was the delicious sake instead of cold water. So here Taro, thinking that he will drink water, he went near to the waterfall. But when he drank the water by cupping his hands, what happened? He found that it was sake and it was not a normal water. All right. Taro quickly filled the pitcher he had with him and hurried home. Now Taro quickly, got his pitcher. Pitcher is a pot. Okay, usually its neck is narrow, and it is made up of mud. Okay, because Taro was very poor, so we cannot, you know show him with any silver or gold utensil. Therefore mud is appropriate. So with that pitcher, so he filled sake in his pitcher and went back home. The old man was delighted that the old man was delighted with the sake. After only one swallow of the liquid, he stopped shivering and did a little dance in the middle of the floor. Now, see, this shows happiness of the old man. After drinking that sake a little, okay, he was energetic now, and he was happy also because he wanted to drink it. He wanted to drink this delicious liquid. Okay, so he was very much joyous after drinking that, and he became happy and danced a lot, danced a little. Okay, must have and this must have cheered Taro. That afternoon, a neighbor stopped by for a visit. Taro's father politely offered her a cup of the sake. The lady drank it greedily and thanked the old man. Then Taro told her the story of the magic waterfall. Now, see, as human beings are, all right, they became so much inquisitive about Taro, and Taro also told everything about the magic waterfall. By nightfall, she had spread the story throughout the whole village. Now, that lady spread the news of sake in the village of Taro. Now, what happens? Let's see. That evening, there was a long procession of visitors to the woodcutter's house. Each man heard the story of the waterfall and took a sip of the sake. In less than an hour, the pitcher was empty. See, when the resource is less and the consumers are more, then obviously the resource will decrease. Now, see, everybody came here in the Taro's house to drink sake, and soon it was about to be over. Okay. Next morning, Taro started for work even earlier than the morning before. He carried with him the largest pitcher he owned, for he intended, first of all, to go to the waterfall. Then he reached it. He found, to his great surprise, all his neighbors were there. Now, see, this is what happens. People, when they get the news, okay, of some resource, they try to empty it as soon as possible. And the same thing has happened with sake as well. Now all the people became greedy and they came at the waterfall. When he reached it, he found it to his great surprise all his neighbors there. They were carrying pitchers, jars, buckets, anything they could find to hold the magic sake. Then one villager knelt and held his mouth under the waterfall to drink. He drank again and again and then shouted angrily, "Water? Nothing but water." Others also tried, but there was no sake, only cold water. Now, the information was spread by that greedy lady, but it is not going to be true because the nature has understood what she has to do. So, here instead of sake, it was only plain water. Okay. "We have been tricked," shouted the villagers. "Where is Taro? Let us drown him in this waterfall." But Taro had been wise enough to slip behind a rock and then saw how things were going. He was nowhere to be found. So this Taro, who was looking continuously at the people from behind a rock, okay, he understood that people are after him because they did not find sake instead of water. Okay, so therefore they wanted to charge Taro for this. Okay, muttering their anger and disappointment, the villagers left the place one by one. Taro came out from his hiding place. Was it true? He wondered. Was the sake a dream? Once more he caught a little liquid in his hand and put it to his lips. It was the same fine sake. To the thoughtful son, the magic waterfall gave the delicious sake to everyone else. Delicious sake. To everyone else, it gave only cold water. So, children, here we get to see that villagers were totally angry, okay, because they did not find sake in that particular waterfall. Okay, so they wanted to show their anger upon Taro, but he was wise, who slipped from their clutches. Okay, quietly he escaped from that place. Now, after everybody went back to their respective places, okay, at that time Taro came out of his hiding place and he wanted to check whether it was sake or cold water in that waterfall. And to his surprise, he found it was sake and not cold water for him. So, it is the nature's way of rewarding Taro for his thoughtfulness towards his parents. Okay, for greedy people, the nature was not at all supportive. So, here in this story, we learn, children, that if we do things for others, then even God and the nature will reward us. Okay? The story of Taro and his magic waterfall reached the Emperor of Japan. He sent for the young woodcutter and rewarded him with 20 pieces of gold for having been so good and kind. Then he named the most beautiful fountain in the city after Taro. This, said the emperor, was to encourage all children to honor and obey their parents. So, children, after the king understood the story of Taro, he understood that he had been caring and he had been supportive for his parents. In this old age, also, he looked after his old parents without any hard feelings. Therefore, he was rewarded with not only with money but name and fame as well. And why did king had to do this? It is because he wanted to teach other children to respect their parents. So, this is a Japanese story which is retold to you all so that you will also be morally upright. You will also see your parents in their old age the way they have seen you all in your young age. Okay, so by this story ends, but we need to keep in mind that we should not get irritated by our old parents, okay, because God is watching and He is going to reward us, He is going to gift us for our deeds. And on the top of that, it is our duty, okay? They are our parents, they have given birth to us. In our childhood days, they did everything, okay? So, in their old age, we should return all love and care that they showed us during our childhood days. So, children, I hope you like the story. We will meet in our next story. Till then, take care and bye bye.